So, depending on where you're watching this, either on YouTube or on Facebook, if you've never seen me around before, hi, my name is Janae, and I have specialized in neurolinguistic programming, NLP, as well as hypnotherapy and tapping. So, pretty much you can just call me your subconscious mind friend. But today, as the title suggests, I am here to talk about why diets aren't working. And pretty much, I am not coming at this from a nutritionist standpoint. I am not a personal trainer, but what I am is very trained in terms of how your mind works and how it works in terms of you achieving your goals and things that you have set out. And when they're not working, also why. So let's just dive into this because I feel like diet culture, wellness culture is a really big topic. And this is a question that comes up quite a bit. Like, why isn't this working? What's going wrong? Whatever. So the first thing that I feel like is really important to say is that your conscious mind is where your goals are set, but your subconscious mind is the actual goal getter. So whenever, and you might be like, what does that mean? Things like that. So before we can really dive into why they're not working, it's really important to understand how change happens and how people typically will approach diets and even just like most changes like that you kind of see around the time of like, hey, there's a New Year's resolution and I'm like jumping on this bandwagon out of nowhere. So I took some notes so that I don't go like too far off topic. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. And if you have any questions as I'm going, just like pop them in the chat and I will look at them as I go through. Okay. So pretty much, as I said, your motivation comes from your subconscious. So if you've ever found yourself in the cycle of, hey, I am going to start going to the gym, I'm going to implement this diet, you may start out and the vision you have for yourself, why you're doing it is like crystal clear. But then as you go, you start to like lose motivation and it's almost like getting to that 21 magical day to make it a habit. It's so stinking hard and that it's so easy to fall off the wagon, right? Or maybe you've like achieved a massive feat and you've actually hit your 21 days and then something happens. You don't feel good. You're like, cheat day. And then like you never fully recover and you're like, why can't I get this back? This is something I really want. So your motivation comes from your subconscious. Anything that you are doing in your life, regardless of what it is, if you are not working from like that part of your mind that makes up 95% of like your behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, and everything, you are solely relying on willpower. And most of the population was not designed to function on straight willpower, which is why there is such a like large percent of people that have tried all the diets and all the things and they haven't worked, or they haven't worked for a sustained period of time. They may work for a while, you have a massive win, and then you find yourself back or worse than what you originally started. So the next time it comes up, you're kind of like, do I really want to do this again? Okay, so right, you start with a goal, and sometimes the results that you're getting aren't quick. Also is another reason why they tend to not work. And so something that I wanted to mention is that your mind on the subconscious level is literally intended to maintain your instincts and to generate habit. And so let's just talk about that like magical 21 days for a second before I move any farther. 21 days is kind of a myth. You haven't heard that probably. It is. And so where that comes from is that when you are using solely conscious methods, so willpower is a really good one, like I'm just going to like do this thing no matter what. Yes, it takes 21 days for it to pretty much get into your subconscious mind where it can just be a thing that you're doing. And, as with a habit, you can always be like, I'm stopping out of nowhere and like you're going to undo it. But there are ways that you can actually just go straight to your subconscious instead of going through the like torturous 21 days, because we all don't like the 21 days. And surprise, your mind actually functions a lot better if your like habits that you want to create are instilled a lot quicker, which means that you can't solely rely on willpower or conscious methods to do that. Another thing that I want to say is that when it comes to dieting and working out and all of those things, it's really important that whatever you implement is coming from a sustainable level from the get-go. Everyone wants to achieve it the quickest and have the most phenomenal results. We see all these like fancy before and after pictures and all of that stuff. But when it's not sustainable, we see the outcome of that, right? Like it may work for a period of time. And then once that period's over, you're like, what is going on? How did I end up back here? And so, what I want to say, a good way for you to pretty much undo that part is to have change come from an identity level instead. And we will talk more about this going forward. But when you are relying on, hey, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to somehow feel motivated, and I'm going to feel the energy to get this done, you will frequently find that you are almost trying to like convince yourself, and it feels like you are dragging your feet. And how much better would it be if instead it was something that you already identified as, like you are already the healthy eater that you are. And so when you look at what you are intaking or whatever diet it is, because I feel like diet doesn't even have to mean a restrictive thing, it could just be how you eat. It's coming from a place of like, this is just my normal way of eating, of consuming, of doing these things, that it's not some like huge pivotal change, because our minds are constantly trying to maintain and sustain us at the same level, as I said. So when we are going through these processes of like, hey, I'm going to start a diet, I'm going to start this workout regimen that we probably already know from the beginning is not sustainable, like your mind is literally working against you to try and like bring it back to normal. So you have to use methods that are going to work with your mind to change what that blueprint looks like in order to have true change. So if you have questions about this, let me know. I think it will pop up in this app that I'm using. And if not, I will check YouTube and Facebook after this is uploaded, and I will comment back. If you love all of this like mind stuff and you're like, ooh, I need to know more and how I can get my mind to like work with me, feel free to hop in the free live NLP and hypnosis transformational calls group. It's an amazing group. Every week someone is selected and they get pretty much a live free transformation call live. And so it's incredible. So go ahead and jump in there if you're like, hey, I want to know how I can get more of this. Otherwise, I will see you next time.